Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Markets Hunters. I am your host, Hunter Gaylor, and I'm going to be joined today with John Lies, the CEO and president of PETV. We've spoken with him on numerous times before, so we're looking forward to having him here in studio with us to go over a lot of the developments going on with their company. Before I do, just a couple of housekeeping. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure you follow the links and click the links that are going to be below. We're across all platforms. We're now recently on Rumble as well, so this will be all over the place. So if you get a chance if you miss it and you're not watching it live across our social platforms, I encourage you to go download the episodes and follow them live as well. And feel free to give any comments back on social media. We love to hear it. We love to hear the feedback, and we also, our founders really like it as well. Our executives like getting the feedback from and questions from you in the audience. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and bring in John. John, good to have you on the program with me today. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here, Hunter. Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's a Monday, October the 23rd when we're talking, so there's a lot of things going on. I want to just dive right into this, John. On this episode of the American Wallet with Markets Hunter, we're looking at your recent results of the American College Veterinary Surgeons Conference that just took place. We saw some press come out, and I want to just get your feedback on a result of the conference and what took place. And specifically, there was a clinical study that we've been talking about. And we talked about this sometime, conducted by Ethos Veterinary Health. And it's very key because it took place at the American College of Veterinary Surgeons. That acronym is ACVS. And the study was done by a Dr. Eric Kleiman. I'd like to get your feedback on that. What was the significance of that? And really go into detail what that means for PETV.
So this is the second part of the study that was released from last April. The first part was to establish that there was reason to go to the second, and it did. It was very good results. And what this result actually indicated, if you listen to the poster presentation, it's on our website, springhealth.com. He talks about every category, how the dogs improve with torn cruciate. So the standard protocol treatment is surgery. So every dog in every category improved beyond the 10% threshold that was set up. Generally, when you're at 5% improvement, it's considered a successful study. So the way we had it set up was the threshold was better than 25% improvement in mobility and pain. So I believe that was over 60% of the dogs, but every category. And when you get into the study, you'll see it. And people had to ask me that were non-veterinary doctors, what does that mean? Because he goes into all these technical answers, sure. But the charts are very clear and the statement's very clear that Spring is a very reasonable alternative to surgery, which turned a lot of heads because there really isn't anything that makes it where you have to prevent from doing surgery. So we felt very good with that study. And then there's further studies that are coming out, and the response of some of the surgeons was really, really positive, really good. They contacted us. Some of them were actually going to come out and visit us. They want to visit our scientific team and talk about how to integrate it into their practice properly. Because we talked about the ability of the product to help rehab much quicker, because by stabilizing the joints and tendons, the dog's able to recover quicker, but also doing bilateral injections to prevent the added stress of the surgery on the bilateral joint from failing. Because it's estimated 80% of the bilateral joint will fail in the first year after the surgery, or at least 18 months. So they're finding out that if after the surgery, they inject the bilateral joint too, it's going to prevent that second surgery, which is a very good thing.
Well, John, I just want to read one of the quotes here. This was said by you, and I want to get your feedback. So we continue to strive to provide data demonstrating that Spring is a viable tool to use in the management of joint-related afflictions and thereby enhancing the lives of companion animals and their owners. Now, one of the key points that I want to stress here is is providing the data that demonstrates this. And when you have these organizations that are stepping in and conducting these types of experiments and having well over 10% increase in every category, I think that's definitely a testament to the work that you're doing. I want to kind of transition a little bit to Red Stage, and I want to get your thoughts on what that means for the company and the importance of Red Stage's involvement.
So Red Stage, they have a very good reputation in using bone marrow stem cells for looking and treating osteoarthritis and other afflictions, joint issues, in multiple categories. So they did a presentation at the conference where it was for continuing education credits also. But in the presentation, 3 of the samples they used where they were using Spring as the product or catalyst to help get the outcomes, and they were getting very good outcomes. So we're excited. We're going to do some type of partnership study with them because they have a lot of great data on bone marrow stem cells. And I've always argued or made the comment that I believe the bone marrow stem cells put on top of our Spring platform will yield better efficacy. Just because from an intuitive standpoint and scientific standpoint, we know that about 80% of the stem cells in the first 24 hours will dissipate or die from lack of oxygen from the area treated. So if you can hold the stem cells in the area treated, it's logical that you're going to get better efficacy. So we believe that to be the case, and we're very excited on getting a study going with them, which I think the study could be completed by the first calendar quarter of next year, which is not that far away because they have great existing data on stem cells.
Well, and I do want to make a note for the audience, and this link will be in the description below, but the Ethos Veterinary Health is very unique in an organization. And it states here that the company operates 145 hospitals across the United States with over 2,000 doctors of veterinary medicine that are obviously doing advanced medical care for pets, both in the companion category, so dogs and cats, and I'm sure also in the equestrian space, I would assume as well. The fact that an organization like that is involved in looking at this product Spring as this interarticulate injection, which is natural, by the way, right? We've talked about this in the past in some of our other interviews, that having that level of exposure is going to continue more and more market awareness for the viability of the product.
Yes, and their parent, the NVA, National Veterinary Association, actually owns, I think, about 1,500 clinics. So that's very good because their subsidiary, which is research oriented, did the study. So I think there's going to be a logical adoption from the parent clinics saying, we're not going to question our own subsidiaries' research.
Right. Exactly.
And they are one of the top private research groups, Ethos is. And, our cat study is being done by Innovax, which is like the second highest type of rated research group. That'll be out here, I think, in the next 2 weeks. So that'll be good. And that's a cat safety study.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing that study because, we've seen these categories, John, and I think for anyone that's been following the company or following the advancement in the technology in the sector, can see the clear proven factor that the Spring products worked in the equestrian space. It's clearly working in the dog space with this study. We're going to see the cat study come out, and we're going to be following it very closely. We're obviously going to have you back on the program to talk about that and talk about what that means. Just from a sheer number of companion animals, the market seems to be very, very big. Now, John, with some news, I want to relate this back over to our viewing audience. Obviously, you're a publicly traded company. The markets have been very tumultuous. We're dealing with all sorts of things from a geopolitical perspective. There was a huge announcement this morning of a merger between Hess Oil Corporation and Chevron. This was a major deal. So we're obviously looking at that. I'd like to get your market feedback. You've been an executive in the public markets for a significant period of time. We really liked your analysis last time. I'd like to get your market analysis on where you see things going. Are we going to get a Christmas bump here? Are more cats and dogs going to go get these surgeries around the Christmas time? What does it mean? Break it down for us, just from an overall perspective.
Sure. So in the last show, I talked about a rally occurring, but that was right before Israel, and so that was unexpected geopolitical issue. So that I think threw off my timing, but I still do see a Santa Claus rally as well as a January effect rally happening before Christmas. Okay. So I do expect the market to go up, provided we don't go to an all-out war, because then everything's out the door. If you look at the Russell 3000, probably 60% of those companies hit 52-week lows. They're below the October 2022 lows, and probably many of them are close to the March 2020 lows. So it's very ugly out there, and I'm seeing IPOs come out at 4 and within 2 weeks trading under $1. I see a lot of those in the microcap space recently. So I do believe we're a little unique from the standpoint that we got more conferences coming out that we're able to present additional data that's supporting our statements that we've been making, that this product is truly innovative and disruptive. It's not a Me Too NSAID or something like that that's slightly improving the outcomes. We're seeing pretty dramatic improvements, or statistical results that are significant in the studies, because science talks a different way than what we do in marketing and sales. So I better stick with those terms.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the bond market's going to be our key. Mortgages hit 8%, 10-year treasuries hit at 5 and a little higher. So we see a pullback from those because they went parabolic in the last 2 months. And usually you get a sizable pullback. The sentiment is extremely negative. Even today, Jim Cramer says it's ugly out there, and he's always the last to say it's ugly. So
Right.
I'm hoping we got a turn here. The Contra Cramer Fund, and I love Jim Cramer. I love watching him, but
Right.
but there's a group out there that does the Contra things of what Jim Cramer recommends. So hopefully we get a rally here.
Yeah, a turn would be nice, especially given everything that's going on, and 401ks have never been lower, so it's definitely affecting the middle markets, I believe. So, but I always go back to the space with PetVivo is very unique as a company, because unlike most people, your revenues are solid, you're continuing to grow, the studies are coming out, the efficacy is being proven. So, I mean, all signs from an analyst perspective is all roads lead to PetVivo for long-term investment strategy. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but I think when we look at this stuff, as we've seen in the past, especially over COVID, we've talked about these statistics before, people are treating these companion animals as members of their family. And so we're going to continue to see the longevity as the science continues to increase and the studies coming out, that we're really not going to see a slump. I think we're going to see a doubling down on their animals because of everything that's gone on. So that's at least one of the viewpoints that I'm taking.
Sure. And, if you look at it, the millennials and Gen Zs own 55% of the pets. They're the ones that actually go on social media. And that will establish as a pretty good tailwind, since we now are in 49 states and we have over 500 accounts. I know I keep using the term clinic. We're actually way above the 500 clinics, because accounts sometimes have 2, 3, 5, 10 clinics in it. So I wanted to clarify that, because we did a news release and I made the mistake of saying clinics, and I was corrected by our sales team saying, John, there's a lot more than 500, and I said, oh God, you're right. so
that's an important number. That's a drastic difference, John, when we look at the market. So let me go back to this 55% number, because I think this is very important for the millennials and the Gen Zers, because this is also part of the Robin Hood generation, if you will, right? From a trading perspective. So when they're looking at companies, specifically in the smaller micro cap companies that are inching up the board, if you will, and they look at a Pet Vivo, what are they going to see? I mean, 3 to 5 years, sales increasing. What are you looking at the potential market cap to be? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I just want to get your thought process.
But since we did such a good job of expanding, covering the country, I'm very comfortable now allocating resources towards social media to drive at these millennials. So if you look at, like you said, the Robinhood, the Reddit crowd, the majority of them were actually millennials and Gen Zs. And that's the audience we want to go after, because it's shown they're the ones that are spending whatever it takes to improve the quality of life of them, because they're the ones that are not getting married. They're the ones that are not having children. They're the ones that are spending whatever it takes to increase the quality of life of their pets. Now, given their disposable dollars have been reduced, because if you look at the average of family of 4 from 2 years to now, they're spending an average of $725 more a month towards living and food, so those have gone up significantly because of the mortgage rates and the food cost inflation. And we're seeing the shift from using food that's in the refrigerator for your dog. You're basically paying more per pound than a porterhouse steak, for your dog, to back down to the traditional Purina dog chow. That's been supported by the mainstream companies like General Mills, saying their dog food sales are up in the standard blend versus the high-end blend of Blue Diamond or something like that. So,
well, and that's another point too, because when we look at social media and the role that it's played in a lot of the company promotion, especially in the pet space. I mean, I know we follow Nala the cat, 4.5 million Instagram followers, and then on top of that, you have all the virality natures of the toys and the accessories and all of the things, and even the treats that they're getting. And so, that all, I believe, ties in to a parallel economy, which is the health and longevity of the pet that continues everything else. So really kind of the Spring product continues the rest of the market, because the cats are living longer, the dogs are living longer, they're more active, therefore they're having more snacks and toys and treats and things like that. So there's definitely a cross-pollination of impact there.
Yeah, and given the fact our technology, it's truly innovative and transformative, how veterinary doctors are going to look at treating osteoarthritis, lameness, and rehab. And that's where we feel we have the upper hand over everyone else, because there hasn't been any innovation in the last 10 years, other than Zoetis with the monoclonal antibody. That's an expensive procedure, but it's not addressing the root cause of cartilage being worn away. There's this blocking the nerve growth factor, which you need a certain number of nerve growth factors for the animal body to function properly. And they're in there blocking it. So a certain number are going to have negative outcomes or negative side effects from it. And same with the cat with their Solentia, is the same issue that they have. And it's quite expensive, and it's user pay, while ours is covered under pet insurance. And then the third innovation was Synovitin, which is using radioactive isotopes to block the pain receptors. That's a very expensive procedure. It's only approved for dog elbows. So that's about $3,000 a year just to keep continuing. The Zoetis product is probably $150 a month, but it's user pay for the life of the animal. Ours is single injection, probably $600 to $800, lasting at least a year. We have seen it in the real world last beyond a year, and it is covered under pet insurance, provided you didn't use other therapies to treat osteoarthritis, because Obamacare doesn't apply to pet insurance. So if there's a pre-existing condition, it would not be covered.
Well, I mean, and that's another good point too, because, we've talked with companies and we've seen an uptick now of larger insurance companies that are now having pet insurance. Pet insurance was not, that big. So once again, another supporting factor on where we see the industry going. So John, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program and getting your insight into the market. Obviously, we're big fans of the company, and we like what you're doing with PetVivo, and we're excited for the feline study to come out with cats. And obviously the 10% number is a big number, John. So we're definitely going to follow what this means for the companion space. So John, I really appreciate you on the program. I give you the last 30 seconds here. Anything that you want to share with our audience that they should be on the lookout for?
Well, we have a pretty good presentation scheduled at the American Association of Equine Practitioners in San Diego the last week of November. I think we got at least 2 vets talking about the spring product at that conference. So we believe we'll come out of there with some very good new accounts, new adoption, and a lot of there's some good supporting data about the use of spring that will be coming out.
Well, that's really good, John. So we'll keep following that. And as always, for everyone, a friendly reminder, make sure you follow us on all the social channels because this message is important and these companies are important. They're the backbone of what drives the economy. So we want to keep the message going. John, always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me, Hunter.
Thanks, John. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining on another edition of Markets Hunters and the American Wallet, where your money's going. What are the opportunities out there, and what is the coverage that we can give to them? And that's really the name of the game here. So we just appreciate everyone for liking and subscribing. We'll have John back on the program. But without further ado, have a great Monday, and we will see you next time right here on the American Wallet. I'm your Market Hunters host, Hunter Gaylor.
Lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis can be difficult to treat and debilitating for an animal's health and well-being. Take control of lameness issues and joint pain. Introducing Spring with OsteoCushion technology. With just 1 injection, Spring with OsteoCushion technology targets the root cause of lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis, helping animals do what they do